God is beyond the purview of that experience. So with your intellect, you cannot understand God. It's just like that frog cannot understand the ocean. So they use upaman. Similarly, there is another one, Arthapatti. What is this Arthapatti? Presumption. You presume a piece of knowledge. So, for example, people say, Swamiji, you are a man of science. And then how come you came to spirituality? I said, when I was being taught technology in college, it was full of presumptions. You don't know what is the temperature gradient in the gas turbine. So you assume that's 1 by T1 to the power 4 minus T2 to the power 4. How do you get it? Just assume it. You just assume. Somebody, for example, Charles Darwin, he made an assumption. What was his assumption? He saw that there are these amoeba, and then there's the paramecium, and there's the hydra, and goes on. Then there are the fish, the reptiles, the mammals, the monkeys, and then there are monkeys with smaller tails and monkeys with smaller tails, and then there are human beings. So he said, the monkey's tail must have gone smaller, and he became a human being. So it's an assumption. Now, supposing you go first time to India, let's say 20 years ago you went, and you saw Maruti, and you saw the Premier Padmini Fiat, and you saw the ambassador, then you could very well assume that this Maruti must have evolved into the Fiat, and the Fiat must have evolved into the ambassador. It's an assumption. What is the proof? Now, moment you start speaking against theory of evolution, people say, Swamiji, how can you? How dare you challenge it? Because we have studied it as the gospel truth in school, college, everywhere. I say, all right, just think a little. If there was such a process of evolution thousands of years ago, why has it stopped today? Why is it that today you don't hear that, these 100,000 monkeys in Jharkhand forest, they are now evolving into human beings? Why has the process stopped? Number two, if this evolution took place, they must have been intermediate species. Those intermediate species, their bones should be there in the crust of the earth. The fossil remains should reveal that, see, look, this was the donkey, and this was half donkey, half horse, and this was the horse. But the fossil record goes totally against the theory of evolution. I am not saying this, you check it up. It totally goes against. And you say, we have found this one missing link. I checked up all these missing links. The Pithecanthropus erectus, the Zinjanthropus erectus, Peking man, Java man, Piltdown man, Australopithecus, all these. What they found? In one case, they found a jawbone and a thigh bone within 25 yards of each other. And they say, this is the Pithecanthropus erectus. Like this. And then they say, the missing link is still not found. So I say, okay, the missing link between the monkey and the humans is not found. What about all the other missing links? There are 8.4 million species. You find the 8.4 million missing links. Why is it none of them are found? Okay, forget it. Doesn't convince you? Another point. This eye. They were creatures without eyes. After all, the amoeba did not have eyes. Now, from creatures without eyes, how did creatures with eyes evolve? It is not a one-step evolution. Darwin's theory was that there was a random mutation. There was the father had 5 fingers and the son had 6. So that random mutation was more stable, so it survived. All right. So now, the eye doesn't consist of one part, it consists of 1 trillion parts. It needs the iris, it needs the lens, it needs the optic nerve, it needs reading mechanism in the brain. And supposing this creature did not have an eye, and then it evolved to a creature with the iris, and that's not going to work as an eye unless all the other parts are there. So if it was not a stable mutation, how did it survive? From a creature without the eye to a creature with the eye is not a single step mutation, it's a million step mutation. And all these are not functioning as the eyes, and yet they are surviving. Does it make any sense? Of course not. But Charles Darwin assumed it. Arthapatti, a means of knowledge. And we were all taught the Darwin's theory as the absolute truth. So, this is another form of knowledge. However, he is saying, Maharshi Patanjali is saying that beyond this is the highest form of knowledge. And that is shabd praman. So, pratyaksh, anuman, shabd. What is shabd praman? Somebody has the authority. That person knows. You ask the person, what is the truth? He tells you, this is it. All right. Ha. So simple. How do you know? He told me. For example, how do you find out who is your father? Do you experiment? Of course not. The mother is the authority. The mother says, Beta, this is your father. All right, mummy. Shabd praman. Her statement is authority. Similarly, we have the Vedas, the Vedic literature. Now, either you can go on digging and digging and digging, and the whole life will not be enough. We won't even be able to find out who we are. Or you say, okay, I accept the authority of the Vedas. I accept the authority of the Guru. What they are telling me, I will believe it. Now, immediately we get access to this whole fund of knowledge. Immediately. Now it's no problem. Now you only have to implement it. But the knowledge is all there for you. So this is Shabd Praman. The words of the scriptures and the words of the Guru. So this Shabd Praman is the quality knowledge. And this is the one to tap into if you wish to make spiritual progress in a hurry. If you're not in a hurry, you say, well, I'll experiment, I'll try and find out on my own. Carry on 20, 30, 40 years. But if we have the hunger, then you just go to the right source. And from that right source, you get the knowledge right away. So this is about valid knowledge. Now he goes to the next one. Invalid knowledge. Number 8. Viparyayo Mithya Gyanam Atad Rupa Pratishtham. Viparyayo Mithya Gyanam Atad Rupa Pratishtham. Translation: Viparya, misconception, is erroneous knowledge, and it occurs while perceiving a thing as being other than what it really is. False knowledge. There was one man going in a gas balloon. He lost his way. So he lowered the balloon to about 30 feet. And there was a lady below. He asked her, ma'am, I had to meet someone and I have lost my way since the last 1 hour. Can you please tell me where I am? The lady said, sir, you are at a height of 30 feet, western longitude 59 to 60 degrees, and latitude 41 to 42 degrees. So the man said, "Ma'am, you must be an engineer." The woman said, "Yes, how did you know?" "Because what you have told me is technically correct and perfect. But I still do not know where I am. This knowledge has not been very helpful to me." So the lady said, "Sir, you must be a politician." So he said, "Yes, how did you know?" The lady said, "Because you have risen on gas. You are expecting, you don't know where you are going. You made a promise that you cannot keep. You are depending on people below you to help you. And even though you don't know where you are, somehow or the other, it is my fault now." So, what is Mithya Gyan? Erroneous knowledge. The Bhagavatam gives an example. Yasyatma buddhi kunape tridhatuke swadhi kalatra dishu bhauma ijjadhi yattirtha buddhi salilena karhi chij janeshva bhigyeshva sa eva gokhara. It's a very intense verse. That person who thinks I am the body, Yasyatma buddhi, this body made of the 5 elements, this is me. One who thinks my relatives are actually my own. One who thinks his country is worshipable because I am born there. One who goes to the holy places to bathe in the river but does not meet the saintly personality there. That person is like an animal. Such an intense verse. Why? This is false knowledge. Thinking I am the body. And hence the bodily relatives are mine. The place where I am born. This is my country. This is all mine, mine, mine. All false knowledge. And the true knowledge is I am the soul. The soul is a part of God. Everybody else is a part of God. So we are all brothers and sisters. This is true knowledge. So this false knowledge also creates a change in the state of the mind. Let's move ahead. Number 9. Shabd Jnananupati Vastu Shunyo Vikalpaha. Vikalp is false knowledge born of words that do not correspond to reality. So, words that don't correspond to reality, like for example Darwin's theory of evolution, the Big Bang theory,